Okay, hi. This is, oh god, it's pixelated. This is a function I wrote. It's meant to calculate the maximum of two numbers, and now I want to unit test it. And the normal way to do it is like this. You would just generate some inputs, and you calculate the outputs by hand, and then you test if the outputs is the expected output. And that's a very bad code because it's copy-paste code, and you haven't really touched the edge cases, and it's just not the way code should be tested. And this is how code should be tested. You don't test the output itself, but you test a property of the output. For example, in the first case, you say, if I put some number x and y into my function, then I expect the output to be one of those numbers. And in the second case, I expect the output to be bigger or equal than every one of the inputs. So this is what we call property-based testing. It can be done in Python with hypothesis. I'm not sure of the pronunciation, and it can be used with PyTest. It's a plugin for that. So I will jump over those because I don't have time. This is a test you can have with hypothesis, and I want you to think about if this test might fail or if it might not fail. So what it does is you have a list of integers. You can see, given a list of integers, it calculates the maximum of the list, and then it looks if every element in the list is smaller or equal than the maximum of the list. Empty list, very good. Hypothesis finds this error. I haven't found it without my tests. So this is an example of how you can find errors that you might not have found without. And this is my favorite example for that. We have an average function. It takes a list of numbers and adds those numbers and divides by the length. So you get the average. That's how you write that function. And the test I wrote is I calculate the average of a list, and then I compare it with the minimum and the maximum of that list. And I would expect the average to be in the middle of those two. Perhaps it is the minimum or the maximum, but I would expect it to be in between. Would this test fail or succeed? We specified that the list has a min size of 1, so the empty list is out. I was very surprised when I got the result. It finds an error, and that's this list. And this is not what I had expected. And what happens here is this list contains two very big numbers, and when you sum them up, you get infinity because of an overflow. And then you divide it by 2, and you still have infinity, and that's still bigger than the minimum of the list. And this is one of those errors you wouldn't probably find without property-based testing, and you can find it with hypothesis. I really want you all to use hypothesis for your unit tests in the future. It can live side by side with your existing unit tests, so you don't have to change that much. You can generate all kinds of data, like integers, lists. You can generate Django users, and if you have some exotic data types, you can define your own. I really didn't think I would have time for this to tell. Okay, well. Of course, your tests take longer because you generate thousands of test cases for each test, but you can limit this number of test cases to maybe 10 or 100. So your tests are still fast, but you have much better tests with hypothesis. Thank you.